Born in 1974 from the merger of four airlines, British Airways set out to represent not just the United Kingdom, but the very spirit of British travel on the world stage. With London Heathrow as its global hub, BA quickly became a bridge between Britain and the rest of the world, offering service that blended tradition, innovation, and unmistakable British charm. Over the decades, British Airways has faced turbulence, deregulation, privatization, strikes, even the shock of the COVID-19 pandemic. Yet, through bold fleet renewal, pioneering Concorde supersonic flights, and a relentless focus on international connectivity, the airline established itself as one of the world's aviation leaders. A founding member of the One World Alliance, BA now flies to over 180 destinations, carrying tens of millions of passengers each year. Today, British Airways continues to stand as the flag bearer of the UK, balancing heritage with modernization and proudly flying the Union Jack across the skies. Fasten your seatbelt as we journey through BA's storied past and ambitious future. If you enjoyed this story, remember to like, share, and follow to uncover more brand journeys above the clouds. British Airways' lineage stretches back more than a century, rooted in the pioneering days of post-World War I civil aviation. The first seeds were planted in 1919, when Aircraft Transport and Travel Limited operated the world's first daily international scheduled service between London and Paris. This and other small private airlines struggled in the interwar years, prompting the British government to consolidate the sector. In 1924, the government established Imperial Airways, created from four carriers, to form Britain's first major intercontinental airline. Imperial symbolized national prestige, connecting London with Africa, India, and the Middle East. After World War II, the state nationalized Imperial Airways and other carriers to streamline oversight. This led to the creation of British Overseas Airways Corporation, BOAC, in 1939. For long-haul routes, while British European Airways, BEA, was launched in 1946 to manage domestic and short-haul European operations. For decades, BOAC and BEA embodied Britain's aviation strategy. BOAC operated globally with iconic aircraft like the Boeing 707 and early Boeing 747s, while BEA built a dense intra-European network using aircraft such as the Vickers Viscount and Trident. By the late 1960s, however, the existence of two state-run flag carriers was seen as inefficient and commercially limiting. The Civil Aviation Act of 1971 set the stage for a unified flag carrier. On March 31, 1974, BOAC and BEA were officially dissolved and merged into a new entity, British Airways. At its inception, BA inherited both long-haul and short-haul fleets, major hubs at London Heathrow and Gatwick, and the full weight of being Britain's sole state-owned national airline. In its early years, BA was quick to showcase ambition. In January 1976, it joined Air France in inaugurating supersonic passenger flights with the Concorde, flying from London to Bahrain and later to New York. Alongside this technological marvel, BA also expanded its wide-body fleet with the Boeing 747 jumbo jet, first ordered by BOAC in 1971, ushering in an era of mass long-haul travel. By the end of the 1970s, British Airways had firmly cemented itself as the United Kingdom's flagship carrier, a blend of state-backed prestige, technological experimentation, and commercial expansion. From its creation in 1974 until the late 1980s, British Airways, BA, remained under full government ownership while steadily expanding its international footprint. The airline inherited nearly 2,000 miles of routes across all continents and invested heavily in modernizing its fleet and services. In 1986, BA opened Terminal 4 at Heathrow, establishing a dedicated hub for long-haul traffic. It also refreshed its image with a revised livery and the enduring Speedbird logo, while adding wide-body jets such as the Boeing 747 and McDonnell Douglas DC-10 to meet rising demand. During this period, BA also launched high-profile services, including a new non-stop London-Rio de Janeiro route in 1987. This period of growth coincided with a shift in government policy. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher's administration considered BA commercially viable and suitable for private ownership. In 1987, BA was privatized through a landmark stock market flotation, marking a turning point in the airline's history. That same year, longtime chairman Lord King assumed the role of CEO, spearheading a strategy centered on profitability, competitive strength, and network expansion. Shortly after, BA acquired British Caledonian in 1988, consolidating its position at Gatwick and strengthening its long-haul market share. Privatization unleashed a decade of rapid global growth. In the 1990s, BA became known for its bold marketing, premium branding, and fleet modernization. The airline expanded short-haul capacity with Airbus A320 family aircraft and upgraded its long-haul services with advanced Boeing wide-bodies. Its international ambitions were reflected in a 1997 rebranding, introducing the controversial World Tales livery, featuring global cultural designs. 2 years later, in 1999, BA co-founded the One World Alliance with American Airlines, Qantas, Cathay Pacific, and others, creating a global network spanning over 900 destinations. By the close of the 1990s, British Airways had transformed from a state-owned utility into a profitable, privately owned flag carrier at the heart of global aviation, setting the stage for new challenges and opportunities in the 21st century. The new millennium brought a decisive modernization push for British Airways, BA, both in fleet strategy and global alliances. At the turn of the century, BA still held a unique place in European aviation as the only Concorde operator, continuing supersonic service until its retirement in 2003. While Concorde's exit marked the end of an era, BA pivoted toward next-generation long-haul aircraft, placing orders for the Airbus A380 and Boeing 787 Dreamliner in the mid-2000s. These moves signaled a shift toward larger, more fuel-efficient planes to compete in a new aviation landscape. A defining milestone came in 2008 with the opening of Heathrow's Terminal 5, a state-of-the-art hub built specifically to consolidate BA operations. Alongside infrastructure upgrades, BA rolled out a new first-class cabin, enhanced business class, and passenger-focused innovations like mood lighting, lie-flat seating, and onboard Wi-Fi. These improvements reinforced BA's premium brand positioning, even as the airline pursued cost discipline under CEO Willie Walsh, who assumed leadership in 2005. Walsh emphasized restructuring, productivity gains, and tighter cost control, balancing investment in the product with profitability objectives. On the alliance front, BA's One World membership matured into deeper joint ventures. It launched transatlantic cooperation with American Airlines, expanded partnerships with Qantas on Pacific routes, and strengthened ties with Japan Airlines and Iberia. However, competitive pressures also caused shifts. In 2008, BA and Qantas ended their revenue-sharing agreement on Atlantic routes, reflecting diverging strategies. Domestically, BA streamlined its UK services and shut down niche brands, while internationally it expanded franchise operations through partners like Comair in South Africa. Financially, the 2000s were turbulent. BA alternated between record profits during aviation upcycles and sharp losses during downturns, particularly around the 2008 global financial crisis. Nevertheless, its modernization drive, combined with strategic alliances, ensured that BA remained a top-tier global carrier by the close of the decade, positioned for the next phase of consolidation and competition. In January 2011, British Airways and Spain's Iberia formally merged under a new holding structure, the International Airlines Group, IAG. This move created one of the world's largest airline groups, eventually expanding to include Aer Lingus, Vueling, and Level. While BA retained its strong identity and central hub at London Heathrow, the merger gave it the financial scale and flexibility of a multinational group. Willie Walsh, who had been BA's CEO, became IAG's group CEO, while Keith Williams stepped in as CEO of British Airways. Throughout the 2010s, BA invested steadily in fleet modernization. It added Boeing 777-300ERs and updated its long-haul product with refreshed cabins, while laying the groundwork for next-generation aircraft such as the Airbus A350 and Boeing 787. The brand received high-profile updates, new uniforms by Oswald Boateng in 2013, upgraded lounges, and an enhanced Avios loyalty program. The airline also refined its fare structure with Premium Economy, World Traveler Plus, and bundled product offerings designed to maximize ancillary revenue. BA accelerated its digital capabilities, rolling out mobile applications, improved online check-in, and expanding in-flight connectivity. By the mid-2010s, the airline was positioning itself not only as a premium travel brand, but also as a digitally enabled operator, emphasizing customer self-service and personalization. Despite these advances, the decade was overshadowed by persistent labor disputes. Negotiations over pay, pensions, and working conditions led to recurring conflicts. In 2017, cabin crews staged a 4-day strike over so-called poverty pay, while BA pilots and unions repeatedly clashed with management. The airline's leadership, often under Walsh's hardline influence, prioritized cost efficiency over concessions, setting a tone of strained industrial relations even as BA pursued operational discipline. By 2019, BA celebrated its 100th anniversary, dating back to its predecessor, Airlines of 1919. The centenary was marked with retro-style liveries on select aircraft and high-profile events, symbolizing both its heritage and global standing. Yet, the celebration also coincided with rising pressures, cost disputes, increasing competition from Gulf carriers, and the looming uncertainty of Brexit. These dynamics framed BA's entry into the 2020s, a legacy carrier with a strong brand, but one grappling with structural and competitive challenges under the IAG umbrella. The outbreak of COVID-19 in early 2020 forced British Airways into the deepest crisis of its modern history. With international travel collapsing almost overnight, the airline grounded the majority of its fleet and suspended most passenger operations. In April 2020, BA furloughed approximately 22,000 employees under the UK's job retention scheme, costing around 110 million British pounds. Unlike some competitors, BA initially declined direct UK state bailouts. CEO Alex Cruz made clear that no government bailout was standing by, even as the carrier's parent group, IAG, tapped a €1 billion loan from Spain's government to stabilize liquidity. Alongside financial triage, BA launched a sweeping restructuring program. This included plans to cut roughly 12,000 jobs, over 1/4 of its workforce, renegotiate pensions, and reset employment terms. The most symbolic casualty was the entire Boeing 747-400 fleet, retired abruptly in July 2020. For BA, whose predecessor BOAC had first flown the Jumbo in 1971, this represented the end of a 50-year era. Deferred deliveries of new jets and extended leases on older aircraft rounded out the crisis response. Through 2020 to 2021, BA ran only a skeleton network heavily weighted toward cargo and repatriation flights. IAG, as a whole, posted multi-billion euro losses, but preserved liquidity through strict cost controls and asset sales. As vaccines rolled out and restrictions eased in 2021, BA began cautiously restoring services. Demand recovery was strongest in leisure long-haul travel, though corporate and premium demand lagged. By 2022, the rebound accelerated, passenger volumes climbed, yields improved, and IAG's financial performance strengthened. Industrial relations, however, remained tense. In mid-2022, Heathrow-based staff threatened strike action over the pandemic-era 10% pay cuts. BA negotiated new pay deals to avert prolonged disruption, balancing labor costs with the need to ramp up operations. By 2023, British Airways had largely completed its pandemic recovery, with IAG posting net profit of more than 1.4 billion British pounds and reversing the heavy losses of 2020 to 2021. Capacity returned close to pre-COVID levels as the airline reinstated long-haul routes such as Beijing and Shanghai, absent for 3 years due to China's border restrictions. Network expansion was also notable. From Gatwick, BA launched flights to Accra, Guyana, and Vancouver, while from Heathrow, it added Cincinnati and Riga, alongside restored frequencies across the Atlantic and Asia. The carrier emerged leaner, with sharper reliance on premium products and tighter operational efficiency. Although its crisis response, marked by mass redundancies and the abrupt retirement of the 747 fleet, remained controversial, the restructuring left BA more cost-disciplined and strategically positioned for renewed growth as global travel normalized. With operations stabilized, British Airways has embarked on a multi-year transformation designed to secure its leadership position in global aviation. In 2023 to 2024, the airline announced a £7 billion British pound investment plan for 2024 to 2026, unveiled by CEO Sean Doyle. This program covers new aircraft acquisitions, large-scale cabin refurbishments, and a complete overhaul of digital platforms. A redesigned website and mobile app now provide personalized booking and self-service options, while enhanced in-flight connectivity and AI-driven operational tools such as predictive scheduling that integrates weather, passenger connections, and crew logistics have already boosted reliability. By early 2025, BA reported record on-time performance of 86% for Heathrow departures, a direct outcome of these digital and process innovations. Modernization of the fleet remains central to BA's strategy. Deliveries in 2023 included Airbus, A320neo and A321neo, A350-1000, and Boeing 787-10 aircraft, with additional 787-10s scheduled for 2025 to 2026. These jets reduce fuel burn by up to 35% compared with the aircraft they replace, complementing the retirement of legacy 747s and upcoming phase-out of older 777-200s. The fleet strategy directly supports IAG's Net Zero 2050 target. BA is scaling sustainable aviation fuel, SAF use, has trialed biofuel flights in the UK, and invests in emerging solutions such as carbon capture and hydrogen propulsion research. In 2024, BA also launched an industry-first Wi-Fi-based customer care system, allowing ground staff to interact with passengers mid-flight, and gave Executive Club members free messaging services on board, signaling a strong focus on digital and eco-innovation. BA continues to strengthen its global partnerships as a founding member of One World. In 2022 to 2023, it expanded code shares with South Africa's Airlink and India's Indigo, improving network depth in 2 high-growth markets. Its Gatwick-based subsidiary, BA Euroflyer, began operations in 2023 with a dedicated A320 fleet, serving leisure destinations under a streamlined structure. Labor relations, historically tense, have stabilized since the pandemic, with new multi-year pay agreements concluded by late 2024. Recruitment and training programs are also being accelerated to rebuild workforce capacity as demand grows. Overall, British Airways has entered the mid-2020s as a leaner, digitally enabled, and sustainability-driven airline. Its transformation program underpins both operational reliability and customer experience, positioning BA to compete effectively across premium and leisure markets while reinforcing its role as a cornerstone of IAG and the One World Alliance. British Airways is positioning itself to capitalize on the structural strengths of the IAG Group and the breadth of the One World Alliance. As travel demand stabilizes beyond the pandemic shock, BA is intent on restoring full pre-COVID capacity while selectively expanding into high-growth regions across Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. Its strategy pivots on advanced technologies, ranging from AI-driven operations and biometric processing to exploration of next-generation aircraft concepts, such as supersonic or electric flight, and on sustainability. Leadership through sustainable aviation fuels, carbon reduction initiatives, and fleet renewal. At the corporate level, BA will continue to anchor London as a global hub, balancing its network against sister carriers Iberia, Aer Lingus, and Vueling to maximize group synergies without internal overlap. The airline's ongoing £7 billion digital and customer investment program aims to put it on par with the most competitive global peers, enhancing operational efficiency and service differentiation. However, the path forward is not without risks. Environmental regulations, supply chain volatility, fuel costs, and Heathrow's infrastructure constraints will shape BA's growth trajectory. Reintegrating crews and aligning organizational culture after years of disruption also remain priorities. Yet, BA's pandemic-era decisions, accelerated fleet retirements, cost restructuring, and digital investment demonstrate an airline capable of decisive transformation under pressure. As of 2025, British Airways projects a renewed identity, leaner, greener, and digitally enabled, while still rooted in the prestige of Britain's flag carrier heritage. Its future relevance will depend on blending tradition, premium service, brand strength, and national identity with bold innovation. By pursuing sustainability, customer-centric service, and strategic alliances, BA signals its intent not merely to recover, but to lead in the next era of global aviation.